right, well, we're going to try something different. Since it's hard to get together and have lunch, I thought maybe we would have videotape having a lunch with one of our summer interns. John, will you introduce yourself to everybody so they know who you are, where you came from, what you did this summer?
Sure. Well, thank you for having me out, Jerry. So my name is John Marple. I'm a summer business analyst at O'Brien-Staley Partners, reporting to Chuck Anderson in the analytics department. So I recently graduated from Colgate University, where I studied economics, and I also played on the men's lacrosse team there. Last summer, I was an investment banking summer analyst at Seaport Global in New York City, and I'm now heading off to Vanderbilt to pursue my Master's of Science in Finance at the Owen Graduate School of Management with a May 2021 completion date.
I'm very envious to wish I could go back to school for a little bit. I think we're going to have a great time.
Yeah, excited.
What was the most interesting thing you worked on this summer?
I think the most interesting thing I worked on this summer was a project dealing with the taxi loan portfolio. So I was tasked with looking at top-line revenues for individual drivers from 2 data sets. And I mean, I really loved the analytical and the quantitative aspects of the work, but what I found to be so interesting was the question that the project was geared to answer, which is, out of our drivers, who is working, who is earning, and who is paying their loans right now, especially given the COVID-19 economic environment.
Did Chuck or Hugh ever share with you what our original thesis was for investing in the taxi medallion?
No, I didn't hear, no.
It's kind of fun. 2 banks, actually credit unions, merged in the tri-state, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut area.
Okay.
And a beautiful merger, but the target came along with a portfolio of loans to New York City taxi cabs that the acquirer was not going to continue as a go-forward business. It was a discontinued business plan. Since O'Brien-Staley Partners has a skill set at investing in loans, business loans, that don't have real estate in them, we were invited in to look at it. And, we did a little bit of analysis, and I went to chat with Warren Staley about it, and I cracked a joke. I said, hey, Warren, I think Uber's just a fad. And that's, he's known me long enough to know I was pulling his leg a little bit. He said, okay, I'll bite. What's your point? I said, well, if after 5 years of driving a taxi and being in daily competition with Uber and Lyft, you're still driving your taxi and still paying your bank loan, we think you're a pretty conscientious credit and a pretty darn good cabbie. And so we invested in a 100% performing portfolio. The work you've just done has actually somewhat substantiated our thesis, because even after COVID, here it is in July, those who are still driving, their top line revenue is 60% of what it was in January. So they are recovering. April was miserable for everybody, but come July, they're still up and getting at it.
Yeah.
What was the most interesting thing you learned this summer?
I think the most interesting thing I learned this summer was hearing you describe to an LP OSP's investment screening process post-COVID-19 using Maslow's hierarchy of needs as a framework. And now that I think about it, I'm leaving for Nashville this next week, and I would love to get a copy of that before I head out, if that's possible.
You're talking about the pyramid. Happy to give you a copy of the pyramid with the industries on it.
Thank you.
The big takeaway, though, is from OSP's perspective, the COVID is not the cause, but rather the catalyst of the U.S. economy going from the expansion cycle to the contraction cycle. And if you're in the contraction cycle, you can then kind of predict, what industries are going to be thriving versus suffering. And, it kind of works in reverse order. The ones that are not going to do well would be in the self-actualization, the very pinnacle of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So, things that are continuing education, some artistic expression, maybe some forms of entrepreneurial expression. Sometimes people get fly fishing camps. They start up fly fishing camps in the Yukon. Well, that's not going to do so well. Sometimes people borrow money for hobby farms. That's not going to do so well. Or I've always wanted to run a B&B. Well, that's not going to do so well. But on the other hand, you can kind of count on, the foundational levels, the physiological needs, of food and shelter, clothing, and even the one layer up, which would be safety, meaning healthcare, hygiene, things of that nature. So we want 70 to 80% of our portfolio in this phase of the cycle to be leaning into the foundational levels of that hierarchy. So
Okay.
we'll
Yeah.
definitely give you a copy of that.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that.
Yep. So, you've heard us joke sometimes that we say, you never heard of us, that proves our marketing strategy is working. And, the firm's 10 years old now, and some of our subsidiaries are even older. I wish we were better known on campus, and it's, well, what do you think we could do, to be better known on campus?
Yeah. Well, I think the recent hire of Kate Hurley and then also Jill Wolrabe,
Yep.
I think them as brand marketers is fantastic. I think Kate does such a nice job of putting OSP's brand out there and should bring awareness amongst key financial professionals. And then Jill does a great job creating that pipeline with the schools and the graduate programs by visiting them and recruiting from them. And then, as you know, I'm heading to Vanderbilt shortly here, and I'd be more than happy to be an OSP brand ambassador there. So I can connect OSP with the Career Management Center and hopefully schedule a campus visit or a campus recruiting event. Probably virtual this year, but we can at least get a relationship established. And then, most importantly, Jerry, thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you for having me here. It was truly a pleasure to work with.
Well, it was a good summer. You were a great summer intern. I'm envious that you're going back to school. Let's keep in touch.
Yeah, we'll do.
And I got a little something here for you to take to campus, and you can
That's
show
great.
you're welcome.
That's awesome. Well, now it's real. Now I am the
Now
brand
you're an
ambassador.
official
Yeah.
alum and a brand ambassador.
That's great. Well, thank you very much, Jerry.
You
Really
bet.
appreciate it. It's been a great summer.
Keep in touch.
I'll keep in touch.
All right.
Yep.